Welcome in to Locked On Knicks. Alex Wolf and Gavin Shaw here, and we have an awesome episode for you all today. Our now yearly tradition with Knicks Film School. We're going to be making bold predictions with Jeremy Cohen and Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School. Gavin, what kind of cool stuff are we getting into in this first of two parts?
There's a lot of interesting stuff, Alex. Jeremy has a bold one on Kevin Knox potentially getting moved. I talk about the Knicks three-point shooting and why they could ultimately be one of the best three-point shooting teams in the entire NBA. And then our guy, the GOAT, Jonathan Macri, he's kind of a crazy prediction on just how good Obi Toppin could be statistically on a per 36-minute basis. Hint, hint, only one other player has done it in recent NBA history. So all that and more right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome into Locked On Knicks. I am Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at thestrick.land. Also going to be writing for Clutch Points this year about the Knicks. He is Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster. And we're, of course, on YouTube right now. If you are not checking this out on YouTube, definitely feel free to. And thank you also for making us your first listen every day. We're here for you guys every single day of the week with great Knicks content, including this awesome crossover that I do not want to hold us back from any further. So without further ado, let's get into our crossover with Jonathan Macri and Jeremy Cohen of Knicks Film School. This is actually the first part of the second half of our predictions. So be sure to check out the Knicks Film School feed where we did our first half of predictions. This whole thing runs about 2 hours. There's a lot of bold predictions going on here. So check out Knicks Film School. And then we're going to get into the first round of Locked On Knicks bold predictions here right now, starting with Jeremy Cohen. But we could probably throw this to Jeremy now, I think, sure. Right? Maybe we could put Jeremy back into the third spot, or do we want to give it to Gavin again and keep making Jeremy back clean up?
Jeremy, you know what? You moved up to the three spot in the order.
Tough.
Sorry, Gavin.
We were initially going to take turns between the two shows, and then Macri threw a wrench in it to start. I figured maybe we'd get back on track.
All right. So my answer, or my next prediction, it actually hinges upon, are we on the KFS pod still, or are we on the Locked On Knicks pod now? Because we're halfway through. So this is.
Are you deciding how to double agent this? Why does it matter?
No, because
it doesn't matter.
All right. The reason was because I have a take that I've said in the KFS pod, but maybe not.
This is probably Locked On Knicks at this point, if I had to guess. I think we're probably
going to open up. I'll open up the Locked On Knicks pod by assuming that's the case. By saying that last year I said that the Knicks would be moving at least 6 players, which was crazy. And then I also was thinking about a big deadline deal. Instead, I'm going to go in the exact opposite direction. And I'm going to say that the biggest move that the Knicks make at the deadline will be trading Kevin Knox away in some capacity. They won't really do a whole lot other than that. I just don't see a market opening up as things stand unless a player like Damian Lillard asks out midseason, which I just don't really see happening, but stranger things have happened. The thing about Knox is that, we just talked about how all these players that the Knicks have, they've brought them back. They've brought them back long-term. We just talked about how Mitchell Robinson, the hope that he gets extended, that would leave exactly 2 players, one being Wayne Selden, the other being Kevin Knox without a guaranteed salary moving forward. And I just think that the Knicks are at the point where they will need to consolidate, but they don't need to do it quite yet. And they need outgoing salary as much as they can get moving forward, trading Kevin Knox either for a traded player exception that they can then acquire a player into that, or trading Kevin Knox for another player whose salary isn't expiring. I talked about last week, someone like a DJ Augustine type who has a non-guaranteed salary in 2022. Doing that and getting him to a place where he can then kind of live out the last of his rookie contract in a place where he can play, where he can show why he might be able to get another, a DSJ type deal with a training camp deal where he goes to a team like the Blazers or whatever it might be. Just, he's clearly not in the team's plans. I don't even know if he's categorized as situational unless all of the wings.
What's
just
under
die.
situational? What's worse than situational in Tibbs' dictionary?
I don't know. I think I'd probably prefer death at that point. Like,
if you're not situational, that means I think that there is no situation in which you can see time.
It's like what was it? I think with Peyton Manning, where they said, "How do we practice when 18 goes down?" And it's like, we don't. We're just
Oh, yeah,
like that sort of thing. And I feel like Knox just like, all right, we're really gonna throw him out there. But regardless, I just don't think there's gonna be a lot done this year to change or improve the team. I think it's mostly just gonna be plucking off periphery guys, and I don't think you get much more periphery than a player like Knox. And I just think he's pretty much. Maybe someone like Selden goes to, I don't know, but I think he's the primary focus of a player who gets traded.
Can I just say how this is so sad that this is what has become of Kevin Knox? It's and more generally, it's like, man, between him, Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, even someone like Trier, who I know, look, is not has his flaws, but like there were points in time in the past several years where we've individually been really high on all these guys, and it's what
I said highest all-star odds on our 2019. My like.
Oh my God! Yes, I remember that. Oh, talk about takes that have aged well. Boy, yeah. Please don't ever anybody listen. Go back and listen to that episode.
That was a bold prediction in retrospect.
Yeah, no, a bit. It's just man, I don't know where it went. I don't know. Well, I have some ideas about where it went sideways, but yeah, this is a good call. I mean, it's a good salary. It's a good movable salary. That's the best thing you could say about Kevin Knox right now.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I think it's right.
Yeah, my only thing is I don't know if so like this is the according to you, Jeremy, the biggest move the Knicks make this season will be this, which would assume that they don't make any other moves. I know you said like, yeah, short of like a big star coming up. I don't know. I feel like there might be something else around the margins they might try to do.
How do they improve where's the obvious margin move to improve the roster? That's what I struggle with.
Here's the thing is that unfortunately that assumes perfect health. And I don't know if we can assume perfect health. So they might hit the deadline and maybe someone's hurt for an extended period of time and you're looking to plug that hole. And, you trade. I'm not saying you would trade one of the core pieces or anything, but maybe it does involve trading Knox, but more so than just trying to get like a salary for going forward. You're maybe spending a little bit of draft capital along with Knox's salary, along with maybe one other filler salary to get someone who's more useful than just like a chunk of change. You know what I mean?
I just can't. Yeah.
What you're about to say, and I agree with, I mean, I'll just say it, is that it seems like everywhere where there might be a hole to plug up, the Knicks internally can do that. Like at the point guard spot, if Rose or Walker goes down, look, I'm not saying I trust Deuce McBride with my life for how he would play as a rookie, but it's sort of thing where I could see them moving him up, moving Emmanuel quickly into a different role, maybe sliding Grimes in. Like, there's enough ways where it's like, you'd have to have so many players out when you say, we've been decimated. What can we do? Who else can we trade?
I mean, I bet that the Knicks never expected to play Norvel Pelle big minutes last year, and yet they did.
But
you know what I mean?
Here's the beauty of it, so right? Like at the center position, right? Let's say something. Well, we actually saw it this past preseason game. I mean, it basically got to the point where the only reason we saw Obi and Randall was because Mitch had played enough in his first game back. Nerlens Noel was being sat out. Taj Gibson fouled out, and basically. Tibbs said, okay, am I really going to go with Jericho Sims filling in? Am I going to put someone like Amir Sims in? No, I'm going to go small. I'm going to try this out in, preseason minutes, see what happens. Anything goes. And so it's that sort of thing where I just feel like there are enough pieces on the board for the Knicks to just be more versatile instead of having to trade for a replacement player to kind of plug that hole. I think that they're going to conserve a lot of their assets and basically try to make it for something that's bigger, where we're then like, yeah, this is someone who can help change the game for what we need to do. And by keeping that in mind, it's like, again, who else is out there, right? Maybe like, let's say it's, all right, let me put it this way. Let's say it's Knox and Noel, for example. Like you could say, oh, well, we could do something. Well, okay, but what player are you getting, right? what player are you able to? Sure, you could say, hey, that's enough salary, just salary alone for Miles Turner. Okay, but are you playing Miles Turner ahead of Mitchell Robinson? Did something happen to Mitchell Robinson? Is he not good enough where now he's considered a backup? A whole lot of things going on, which is why I feel like the only player who's worth a damn financially and who doesn't have a role is Kevin Knox. And the other guys, yeah, you could probably replace one or two of them, bring up one of the younger players, and more on that in a moment from me. But with that being said, I don't think there's enough going on where you then like dive in for that player, unless it's like Terrence Ross or like some.
I was about to say, if there's like I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. If there was like a season-ending injury to like one of the starting wings, and it was like, this would actually be too much money to get Ross, but like maybe Knox would be enough. I think Ross makes 12 point something, so it would maybe like Knox, a draft
Selden.
pick, and and like Selden for Ross, to play, if God forbid someone important went down. But other than that, I'd be surprised. But who knows? Listen, we say this shit every year. Like crazy shit happens.
All right, guys, it's about that time. Let's take our first break to tell you about Prize Picks. All right, NBA fanatics, have you heard about Prize Picks? Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and I know you will too. Prize Picks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. Prize Picks offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. Prize Picks offers any prop you can think of, from yardage to touchdowns, even interceptions thrown. All of your users that deposit and use your promo code will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just be sure to use promo code NBA. You can pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win 10 times in any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Prize Picks allows mixed sport entries. You can take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes in the same entry. It's revolutionary. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA, or go to your App Store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. And today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. And finally, guys, we wanted to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. For your second listen, get everything you need from contender to pretender around the NBA with the ultimate NBA season preview, the biggest and most comprehensive season preview you can find wherever you get your podcasts.
Gavin, you are up. Prediction number 8 on our list.
All right. Prediction number 8. This is in line with my first one, but it's that the Knicks finish top 3 in the NBA in three-pointers made. Again, this may be overly reliant on preseason statistics, but they were exactly 3rd in three-pointers made, just ahead of the Denver Nuggets, Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz. Again, this 100% falls in the bold prediction category because every team in the NBA is shooting threes at insane rates. And I think because of that, there's like inherently some randomness baked in terms of who actually finishes at the top. But this is more so saying like the Knicks at the 1 through 4 spot are about as good of a shooting team as there is in the league. I mean, they have 4 guys who are capable of hitting 40% from 3 on pretty decent volume. And then you look at the bench, you have Emmanuel Quickley, you have Derrick Rose, who maybe last year was a little fluky, but seems to have found his shot late in his career. You have Obi Toppin, who's taken a step forward in that category. And they don't necessarily, like they're getting a lot of them up as well. I think that would be my bigger concern. I doubt they finish top 5 in volume ultimately. And so obviously you have to shoot it really, really well to finish top 3 overall. But this is more like a bet on like the talent is there. I think they have top 3 3-point shooting talent without going through every team in the league. And maybe I'd push them back a little further or up a little bit more. But yeah, I think right around that range is good for me.
Yeah, I buy it. I buy it. Like why is what we're seeing in the preseason not real? Somebody would have to explain that to me.
For a long time outside of RJ.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see anybody not producing the way that they did in preseason. If anything, I almost see some guys getting better. Like I thought the Kemba kind of sucked from three in the preseason by and large. Like, especially, I mean, that last preseason game, he was terrible. I mean, he airballed one that was like a shot that he makes all the time. Just like a quick little pull up three off a screen. Like, I mean, they're I think that it's pretty clear they're looking to shoot a lot of threes this year.
It seems like there's been a mentality shift. It really does.
For sure. And I mean, it's just kind of hilarious to now reflect on all the takes from like this time last year. Like, will Tibbs ever adapt? And will he ever do this? I mean,
those
his
takes
defense,
were bad in the moment.
Yeah, his defense even has changed. You know what I mean? Like he went from ice, like try to get guys to the perimeter, to now, I mean, their defense is more or less like try to funnel guys inside and let them deal with our monsters at center in the middle, and that's kind of their strategy on defense now. He very clearly adjusts based off what his personnel is. And, his personnel now is, the team was like, let's add some shooters and some creators. And the game plan now is let's keep everything around the perimeter until the right opportunity opens up. And then you can either take that driving lane that you're afforded or shoot a three or kick it back out to a shooter. There's like their whole thing is just keep guys running around the 3-point line and setting screens for each other and trying to free each other up until finally something cracks in the defense, and then just take advantage of it. And, that's going to result in a ton of threes. I think this is going to be the first team since 12-13, I think, that unintentionally revolutionized the game, that shoots, as many threes and is around the top of the league in that number. I don't think that'll be that hard at all. Although I guess Gavin's thing isn't just taking the most, it's also making the most. And they have, I mean, a number of like career 38 or so percent 3-point shooters on the team. And I think they're going to be just fine as far as making a lot of those ones that they take as well, and being among the top of the league in that category.
Jeremy, who hits the highest percentage from deep this year? Putting you on the spot on like decent value.
I'm going to say RJ Barrett, because I think a lot of his looks are going to also be catch and shoot.
Okay.
And I think he'll spot up nicely. He'll get wide open looks, because again, there are going to be nights where he's going to be considered your fourth option, and he should not be. He should probably be more your second option, and yet he'll be left wide open. But I'm going to buy the take. I think top three is a tiny bit spicy. It might be closer to top five, but screw it. I'm going to buy it. It's funny to me how similarly the Jazz and the Knicks have been kind of like the architecture there, and it shouldn't be a surprise because Walt Perrin was very instrumental in setting up the Jazz, and he's in New York. So last year the Jazz hit the most threes in the NBA. So I figure as the Knicks kind of go in that direction, like you're seeing, I hope it doesn't take it or take many of them, but Nerlens Noel saying, like I've been told to shoot corner threes and practice that. We saw Taj Gibson hitting a clutch three in the third preseason game against the Pistons. The Knicks aren't going to go 5 out, but they're going to have, partially maybe some bigs who can at least attempt shots. And I'm not saying they're going to make them, but it just goes to show that when you're on the floor with 4 other guys who can shoot lights out to begin with, and then you have your 5th player who like even attempts them and sometimes can make them like even a semi-decent clip, depending on how much Taj plays. Like, why not? Why can't you get up there in top 3 for the most 3-pointers made, especially when you have upgraded your backcourt and you brought back your entire 5-man bench? So I think it works out perfectly. I'll buy it.
Here's my other thing to throw in there too, Jeremy, as far as like, well, will they be top 3, top 5, whatever? I think top 3 is pretty reasonable, because the one thing that the Knicks aren't good at is finishing inside. Like, they don't have a particularly strong finishing team. Like, RJ has not put up great numbers in that respect in his career so far, despite being pretty good at getting in there. Same with Julius. Julius last year was in like, I just looked it up the other day. He was in like the 16th percentile, I think, last year among bigs finishing inside. Granted, he plays more like a wing, but even for a wing, his percentages were not great. Fournier is actually pretty decent finishing inside, surprisingly, like more so than you would think. And then Kemba, it depends on how healthy he is, how much burst he still has, because he's purely reliant on just being able to beat his man to be effective getting to the hoop, because if he's got to compete with the big guys down there, then he's kind of screwed. And then, you have like Rose, pretty good finishing off the bench, but then like Quickly is not particularly good at finishing inside. Burks isn't particularly good at finishing inside. Obi, especially for his size, is really not good at finishing inside. Noel doesn't have hands. Mitch, I didn't mention, is probably your only like true above average guy at finishing around the rim on the whole team, unless you maybe want to count Fournier. So I think that's going to make them very reliant on the three, but luckily they're like well equipped to be reliant on the three as a consistent source of offense, I think. But there probably will be a few games where they put up real stinkers where like the whole team just goes cold, as happens.
Yeah, but
sometimes
that's every team though, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But I mean, I think that it'll really show for the Knicks if they go particularly cold from three for a game. It'll kind of show for them. It's funny, we didn't like discuss like what our takes were going to be beforehand, and so much of what we've talked about centers on the fact that we think this offense is going to be really very good. And someone's going to look like an asshole. It's either going to be us or it's going to be league-wide consensus, because I was like just noticing, before like, Popper tweeted out his preseason predictions column and then retweeted it a few minutes later saying like a scout just called me and told me I was like way too optimistic about this team. I think they're going to be good. I don't know that I'm with like as lofty as maybe some of you guys are, but I think there's no reason why they shouldn't be a top 12 offense or can't be a top 12 offense. It might not be, but it could be.
Time out for 2 seconds, because
please.
There's a certain Patreon pod where you listed the Knicks as where, John?
Andrew's gonna yell. I think I'm not supposed. I'm like barred.
He just said thank you in all caps, so I think that is approval of the fact that you can proceed with at least stating where this team, or you can even say the general vicinity of where this team is. Okay, you can say this. Perfect. John, where did you have the Knicks seated in your tier of teams for the East and the Wolf? Let's just.
I predicted that they're. Because again, we were forced to slot them in somewhere.
Say it.
And I'm like, fuck it, why not? I think the Knicks are going to be the third seed in the East.
Hey,
okay. So
I'm going to join you on that boat. I said that the other day. We did a Locked On NBA roundtable discussion thing.
Okay.
And Locked On NBA had the audacity to put the Knicks in the quote playoff hopeful spot. Like it was in the same show with like the Wizards and stuff. And I was like, get out of here. Granted, the Hawks were in it too. So I think it was just kind of a messy category. But I was like, man, I can see the Knicks finishing as high as the third seed. I don't think it's that crazy. The Nets and the Sixers were the top 2 seeds last year, and they're like completely insane right now. There's no order on those teams right now. They're going to be a mess. Like, sorry to anyone.
Cats and dogs living together.
Yeah,
mass chaos.
They're going to be a mess. The Bucks are, there's a chance they might be on a championship hangover and not necessarily feel like they got to be the number 1 seed anymore.
We'll see.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, look, it's justifiable.
Granted, Giannis is making threes now, so the whole league might just be screwed. So
they'll go as far as Giannis takes them, and I don't think Giannis is going to have a hangover. I think if
Milwaukee also went first in our wins draft. Another Patreon special, by the way, for any Locked On Knicks listeners who care to listen to all
check out the Knicks Film School Patreon. Hey, that's fine. Yeah. Check out the Strickland one while you're at it too. If you got some money to blow this season,
I'm now proud. I don't know what tier it is. I'm paying $9 a month to the Strickland. I don't know what I get, but hopefully I get some good stuff.
I think you get all the extra Schwinn rants.
Awesome, great.
Yeah, I think you get.
Can I pay extra to not get those? And then
yeah. We'll discuss a special plan for
special tier for me.
Yeah,
where I get all.
It's actually $69 a month to not hear Schwinn.
That's a bargain.
All right, we're going to take our second break. We just wanted to remind you all this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. And tell you what, you can now see my face on YouTube talking about Built Bars for the first time. You can see I'm not kidding. I'm very enthusiastic about these things. I love eating Built Bars. They come in so many delicious flavors. Absolutely the best tasting protein bar I've ever had in my life. My favorites are coconut and cookies and cream. Can't recommend those two flavors enough if you're into, say, a Mounds bar or a Hershey's cookies and cream bar. You know, if you like those sort of flavors, you're going to love coconut and cookies and cream from Built Bar, all covered in 100% chocolate, and they're good for you. They have 17 to 18 grams of protein per bar with only 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. You're really not going to find a better ratio of great taste and high protein to low sugar, low carbs, low calories anywhere else. If you want to get some Built Bars for yourself, go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Okay, so we're gonna go to our last round of predictions. So I'm up again. Obi Toppin. As anybody who's listened to our pod over the course of the last several months knows, I'm pretty high on him. And it's funny because I looked at the prediction I'm about to make, and I'm like, is that spicy enough? And then I went and looked and checked at how many people did this last season. So first, let me see here are the per 36 numbers I am predicting for Obi Toppin this season. This is my third prediction. 18 points per 36 minutes, 9 boards per 36 minutes, 3 dimes per 36, 1 steal per 36. And finally, this is probably maybe the spiciest part of this, 2 blocks per 36 minutes. So none of those sound completely outlandish, right? Well, I went back and checked last season, and unless I don't know how to use the NBA's stats page, not a single player in the NBA last season had per 36-minute averages of 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks, which I have to say I was a little surprised by. Now, Obi Toppin, this preseason, here's where he's at. 17 point, and this again, all per 36 minutes, 17.8 points, 11.7 rebounds, 9.4 defensive rebounds, 2.3 assists, 0.9 steals, and 2.3 blocks. This is me, I don't know what it is at this point, doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on that. I think Tibbs is when he said he found something the other night by putting Grimes in as an extra perimeter defender that maybe is going to allow him to play Obi and Randall together. I think he means it. I don't know if they're going to go to it every game. I don't know if they're going to go to it for more than a couple minutes at a time, but I think they will go to it. I think it will be something that they do this year as a meaningful portion of their offense. And I think Obi's going to get some blocks as a result of that. We saw him get 3 blocks in a 7-minute span to end the game the other night. So yeah, I mean, Obi Toppin, I love him. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to have a very fun year, and we'll see how this one works out. Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess the only thing, so if I was going to pick one stat that I think that he might struggle to get per 36 in this, it might be the 3 assists, as crazy as that is to say.
That's a reasonable thing to poke at.
Yeah, I mean, I will say if he's getting these stats, as much as you want to love Obi Toppin, the Knicks are going to be flashing that stat sheet to anybody with the star available and saying like, hey guys, look what Obi Toppin's averaging for 36, because those are some damn good numbers. I mean, 2 blocks and a steal per 36. I mean, if he was doing that and actually playing 36 minutes, he would probably be a defensive player of the year candidate, right?
I think he moves, again, you had but it's funny. You had the Knox defense take last year that at the time that wasn't that crazy. It looks pretty ridiculous now. I'm going to say that I think I like how Obi moves on defense. I'm impressed by him. I think he's going to be a pretty good a decent NBA defender, pretty good NBA defender. Whatever you want to say.
I'm not saying that he's a bad defender, but like, I actually think he's okay. I was about to say really good defender. I don't know if I'm quite there about that, but he's definitely a good defender, and he looks to be on track to be an above average defender. Yeah. My only thing is like 2 blocks and a steal per 36 is a lot. That's 3. That's like a normal starter's minute load, right? That's why we use per 36. So, I mean, that's 3 stocks per game. If he was playing normal minutes, that's quite a bit.
Look, it's my spiciest take. So
yeah, it's pretty spicy. You're very bullish on the defense. So I like it. I'm bullish on his defense too. I just don't know if he would get that many blocks or that many assists, I think are the two that stand out to me. That might be why there's no players that hit those qualifiers from a year ago. So,
Jeremy, thoughts?
If I had more time in my life, I would do everything I could to pinpoint the exact moment where the light switch flipped on for you and Obi Toppin. It actually might be more of a dimmer because like it's now gone past the point where I feel like the dimmer could even go and it's blinding. So as a result, I think your love is becoming so big to the point where it is now like crazy expectations for Obi Toppin. I think it's too spicy in general. I think he'll be a better player, and I understand this is per 36, so I get it. But again, I think that also he's still not going to get the minutes that will then kind of help him stat wise. So it's then going to feel like a jumbled mess of like,
no, you need to play to get in a rhythm and
right.
Yeah.
Like if he's logging 15 minutes a game, then like I could see it. Not that I could see it happening, but like, let me put it this way: 15 minutes versus like the 18 minutes that I think you said you think he could play, right? You said 18 in your.
I did say 18,
right? So like 18 is half of 36 in this case. So basically,
very good, Jeremy.
You're saying, thank you. So basically, you're saying that if he's playing 18 minutes, that he's going to average 9 points, 4.5 boards, 1.5 dimes, a block, and half a steal per game. And I just don't think he gets there. So that's why I think it's a bit loftier, but I respect the admiration and the quintupling down of the Obi Toppin love from you.
Gavin, you gonna pile on my shitty Obi Toppin take?
I was just gonna say it's like a weird thing, right? Because it almost all depends on how many minutes you think he plays. Because like I was looking at this and I was like, in 12 minutes, this is all pretty doable. Because then it's just a third of all those numbers, and I'm like, oh, Obi in 12 minutes he can get 6 points, 3 boards, 1 dime, 0.7 blocks, 0.3 steals. Like that all seems like very, very doable. But I think that almost like confirms Jeremy's logic to some extent. Like it seems easy, like because you could see him doing one of those things each time, but can you see him doing all of those things every single night? And obviously he doesn't have to. He just has to like do some of them really well some nights, some of them really well the other night. But I think it's the stretch that he gets to all of those. But that's why it's a bold prediction. I like the spirit of it because I'm also very in on Obi Toppin this year. I think he's going to get. I still have a lot of concerns about his finishing, but I think that will sort of be offset by the fact that he will be playing with better talent, and it would be more conducive to him getting runouts, a lot more conducive to him getting lobs, especially when Nerlens' patented corner 3 comes into play. So I think the scoring, I'm almost less concerned about. The assists, I'm not really concerned about because we've been talking about this whole podcast. The ball is really going to ping around, and inevitably, and Obi does have passing talent, but even if guys are going to get assists just as a proxy of I am catching it on the wing, and the last defender is scrambling out to me. The next pass is just 5 feet over to the corner, and that guy's wide open. And everyone's going to be, I think, piling up assists in that way. I think the defensive ones are the ones I am most concerned about, just because, and not because I don't think Obi's a solid defender, just because, I don't really consider him like an event generating defender. Like he does occasionally, but I haven't really seen that kind of consistency yet. And I think as he has more time in the NBA and gets better and better at anticipating stuff, that will come along. But this feels like a little early for me on the Steals loss.
By the way, there has been one player who has played an appreciable number of minutes in the last 3 seasons to have accomplished those per 36 numbers, and he did it twice in 2018-19 and 2019-20, and that player is Anthony Davis.
Okay, I was actually going to guess Giannis maybe, but I knew it had to be someone in that general vein. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you've said that, do you still stand by this prediction?
Oh, fuck it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well,
I'm dying on it.
It's going to be beautiful.
All right, we're going to put this on a big marquee. Obi Toppin is the next Anthony Davis, says Jonathan Macri.
Better actually.
I was gonna say, you'll say better
version of Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis 2.0.
Or is Anthony Davis just Obi Toppin, like the
0.5?
Mod? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the alpha version of Obi Toppin.
Anthony Davis walks so Obi Toppin can run.
Could run. So Obi Toppin can run like a baby gazelle down the court.
Alex, please start talking so we don't have to talk about this take anymore.
I don't know. This has been pretty fun.
Just keep going in on this.
All right, that's it for the first part of our part 2 of the Locked On Knicks Film School Bold Predictions crossover edition, if that's not enough of a mouthful. Again, if you haven't heard it yet, be sure to check out Knicks Film School's feed or YouTube for the first part of our bold predictions for this season, going over a whole bunch of different stuff. It was sort of we went least spicy to most spicy, but I actually think some of the less spicy takes in the beginning, quote unquote, were pretty spicy. So definitely check that out. And we'll be back with another part to this episode later today. Actually, we're going to just drop both of them today. And we wanted to thank you guys for always making Locked On Knicks your first listen every day. Again, we'll have the second part of the crossover on the feed very soon. We're also going to have an episode coming up with Prez from the Strickland talking about Kemba Walker tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to. Now make sure to make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Basketball with Josh Lloyd. Josh hosts the #1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet, and it's free and available on all platforms. Until later, though, we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out, and welcome to YouTube if you are tuning in and seeing us on YouTube for the first time.